see.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 5, 2021 meeting of the Dighton Public Library Board of Trustees. This meeting is being recorded. It's also available on Zoom. We'll take a minute here just for introductions. Why don't we start with Eve Marie Cabral, who's on the phone right now.
Yep, Eve Marie Cabral, trustee.
Rita Araujo, trustee.
Ronald Connor, trustee.
Jocelyn Tavares, library director.
Thank you. So I will turn it over to, sorry. July 1st meeting minutes. So can we have a motion to approve the meeting of the Dighton Public Library Board of Trustees, July 1, 2021?
I make a motion that we accept the minutes of the July 1, 2021 trustee meeting.
Second, I make a second, Eve Marie Cabral.
Okay. All in favor? Nope, sorry. Any questions or comments? Discussion? Hearing none. All in favor say aye and state your name. Ronald Connor, aye.
Rita
Eve
Araujo.
Marie Cabral, aye. Sorry.
All right.
Okay.
The minutes passed unanimously. Thank you all very much. Next on our agenda is an update on library operations. Turn that over to Jocelyn.
Okay. I did send you all an email dated July 26th, dates that I knew at the time. I don't know, do you all need it or did you have a chance to look at it? I can go over it now. As far as I know, the building, when I say the building on the agenda, it refers to the Carnegie Building at 395 Main Street.
Yeah.
The Board of Selectmen have executed the contract with the architect, and he and his engineer have been here to take photos and measurements. They have not submitted drawings to my knowledge, but I expect those will be forthcoming, and I will be included in meetings when they're here with Town Administrator Mullen and the building inspector. But I'll keep you posted on those developments. There is the possibility of the HVAC system here being redone through the Green Communities Grant. I have not had an update on that process. As far as I know, there's been no, I was expecting to hear maybe this week, but I haven't heard anything yet. I also haven't looked to hear anything yet. But again, if that were to happen, the downstairs would have some major construction going on. So again, I have beginning conversations on kind of a mobilization of what we're going to do for a move anyway, and how we're going to prioritize collections to go over to the modular unit. But we also, we know that we would need to bring some things from upstairs to make them accessible so that we could bring them to Somerset Ave. And we know that a lot of shifting and things that we would need to do that I don't know that we even know how to anticipate for that yet. I just expect a lot of disruption. But I also think that some of the shelving that we have downstairs, the cantilever shelving, that a lot of the children's books are are probably ideally suited for the modular unit because they're more mobile.
I see.
So that's that. The modular unit, I'm told, is going to arrive next week. It sounds like you've all seen a lot of the work that they've been doing over on the Briggs property next to Town Hall. From what I gathered at the selectmen's meeting from, what was the date? It was July 28th, I think you're right. And please, I know you were there, Ron.
Sure.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
That they were digging up some of the property and laying gravel for parking.
On
And-
the Briggs property, yeah.
And that they were going to place the modular on the property line between the Briggs property and Town Hall. And that the water line, the water and sewer lines were being prepared for hookups this week, and they were doing the foundation for next week's
Yeah. I can see
arrival.
that. They have a good bed of gravel in the spot where the trailer is going. What one related question was how people are going to get from the parking lot to the unit because of the wall, and there was concern about taking down, certainly concerned the whole wall was going to come down, but that was not going to happen. But still don't know how they're going to carve out an opening in the wall because and the town doesn't have a walls bylaw, right? We tried to have one.
Yeah, I don't think it passed.
Yeah.
I don't,
So as far as I can tell, they're gonna need to break up the wall somewhere to get a path. So it's really not a library concern, but just for what, because the question came up, how are people gonna get there, because there's a wall. Unless I miss something, they probably have to make an opening in the wall.
yeah, I think they had mentioned at the meeting, and I don't know at what point during the meeting it was mentioned, that there seemed to be a break in the wall at some point, or some point in the wall that was not, what's the word I want to use? It was it wasn't secure, or it wasn't steady.
Sure.
There
yeah.
was a natural,
Yeah, it's pretty far down the wall.
yeah, there was some kind of place where the wall just wasn't as sound structurally. And I think they were looking at that as a possibility for
Yeah, it's pretty far
a
away.
path, but
it's the main thing is that people will be able to get from the parking lot to the library. They can always park in the town hall parking lot too.
right. All I know is what I heard from Karen in the selectman's office, that she heard from Mr. Ferry in the highway department, was that it should arrive next week. So we'll see, that'll be the big reveal. So, yeah.
Okay.
The Mass Board of Library Commissioners building consultants are aware of what's been happening so far. They've offered their services, are willing to come do a site visit. So when I know that we have something to show them, I will let them know that they're more than welcome to come and visit us. They've given me an idea of how to, like, an initial layout.
Uh-huh.
So if you can imagine I think I showed you, I sent the layout
Floor
in
plan,
that,
yeah,
the
and
floor
that's
plan.
already built out, right?
Yeah,
nothing
there's,
can-
it's like
it
a
can't be-
cookie cutter
Can't
plan.
be,
Yeah.
can't modify it. in any
Because
sense. Yeah.
we asked, because
And if you didn't want those two like side offices, you could get a clean place, but there would be no bathroom.
Oh,
and it would be more money to,
yeah, okay,
so the open room in the middle. The MBLC had mentioned that, I guess Woburn had a modular unit for a long time. And that's where Andrea Bunker, one of the building consultants, worked and lived for a long time. And they mentioned putting shelving, like the upright shelving along the sides of the walls in that middle room. And having smaller shelves kind of in the middle. I think it would be preferable to have like a mobile shelving in the middle. We might have to order that. I think we have enough money in state aid that we could probably swing.
Yeah.
To purchase something that can double function as a display unit and shelving for books. The staff and I, well, Lori wasn't in today, but Phyllis and Britt and I kind of talked, and we thought that we should have some, there's a lot of thoughts going around, of course, that we should have some children's materials in there. But there's also loose talk, because there's talk of having Town Administrator Mullen is interested in having some youth services operations in the lower level of Town Hall.
okay,
There's concerns with our occupation of space that will affect the building occupancy and losing out on another meeting room in the town. This, and of course, it will be temporary until we were able to come back in this building when the work is done. So that hasn't been decided, but I expect those conversations to be happening in the next few weeks. Which leads me to my next point about,
So just like.
go ahead.
MBLC, are they coming, they're gonna come here and look at the module unit? Or have they signed off on this as being,
It's a two-pronged, so the building consultants have offered their assistance in planning.
right,
The state aid department, the state aid folks, that unit is gonna wanna see if they're going to, just wanna do a check-in to see how things are going, to make sure that, I don't know if they would have recommendations for services or what, but they're gonna wanna see what we're doing to make sure that we're,
okay, that's,
but that leads me, it was the building inspector's point about building occupancy in the lower level of town hall. The in-person programming and meetings we have unsuccessfully had, we've been booted out of almost every meeting space that we've reserved. And it's mainly, it's not like we've had a lot, we've basically had our small evening book groups. We haven't really done more than that. But even with our dog, we had a huge dog summer reading program behind town hall, and even that was, we were questioned about the space.
That outside area?
That outside area, because Parks and Rec, in their transition of leadership, didn't have it on the calendar. And it was, by the time that we got questioned about it, I was already pretty frustrated by being told that we couldn't have space because some other group needed Old Town Hall, or we were promised the lower level of Town Hall for our book group. And just to be told that we were going to be booted out, even though I picked the date. I picked the date because there was a clear spot on the calendar. You know, there was like an empty space on the calendar to plan.
Yeah,
And
and somebody else needed it, so the library got,
it would be like the Forest Hills public hearing, or another
why
town.
wasn't that on the calendar?
Because it keeps getting postponed,
And
probably.
or another town meeting that is supposed to meet a different week, and then we get booted, we make the reservation.
Mhm.
And so I have little, I don't know, temper tantrums, fits
So is there
over.
a meeting space committee?
There's not.
Is there a calendar that everybody
There's-
can go to and then put in their
There's a calendar,
reservation?
but it doesn't seem to matter because that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, nobody's in charge, whoever.
Because somebody could
Allow
bump you.
this
Is
as-
there-
Because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
got bumped.
Is there a seniority, like
There's
a priority
no,
list?
there's
It
no
just is
policy, there's
policy, so
no,
it's just, well, we need this more than you do.
and,
And what's happening with the police department community room? For some of these meetings, I'm not talking about hours, because you made a point about that I think was valid, but is it being used by other towns?
so what I know that our cookbook club has been meeting on their own, but it's taken them a long time to get permission to use their room. And the Friends, Zach LaPointe, the president of the Friends, has tried to get the police community room for the Friends meeting, because he was told that the Friends weren't allowed to use the space, the town space anymore. So it took a while for him to,
Who tells these people this?
in the selectman's office. So I have it down later on our agenda. However, so my book group, after being booted out of a space one too many times, I've had a couple of members complain to Town Administrator Mullen. I have a letter here that I'll read to you from another committee, book group member. I don't know. I think the message has been sent. I just don't know realistically what's gonna happen when some other committee is like, oh, we need the space, we have this urgent legal matter, when it's like the zoning board or conservation, or, you know what I mean? We're gonna be, oh, but it's just book group, or it's just a library thing.
I guess it depends on how many people, but why can't the police station community room be that emergency space? Or is it used a lot by the police department?
I don't know.
And how does that get booked? But it would seem to me that that ought to be the place where these open meeting law bound meetings need to, legally required meetings take place. When all the space is booked, you just go there.
They've got a big enough parking lot.
I don't
That's just, I don't, it's really not our place to solve these problems. I think we're part, we're a symptom of the problem, which is there seems to be no systematic way of
I
There's
know.
no priority list.
scheduling and.
I know that we're not the only town entity going through this.
Sure, good.
Not that that's good. But, I've kind of decided, because between the Delta variant and the town situation of securing space, if we can't have something outside, then I don't think it's in our interest to invest in paying for an in-person program if we can't guarantee that we can have it. I just think that it's just one more message that.
How many people are in the book club on average?
It's grown. It's grown since, it's about, I would say, when everyone attends, it's probably up to 12.
Okay, so when the modular unit is operational, would they be able to go into the modular unit?
I don't know. I don't know if they would fit in the side offices.
Well, if you were having mobile, you could push them aside and set some chairs up, right?
We might be able to. I don't
Is the office,
know.
I can't remember, is the office well, is
It's small. I think it's closer to that size. But I'm also wondering, I expect we're gonna get a building occupancy number.
right,
And
12 isn't a large number, I mean, you could have 12 people in there.
yeah,
I would think that would be able to hold more than 12. That might be a solution.
for that particular thing.
Right, for that.
Cause they
And then
really.
that way you wouldn't have to worry about trying to get a room and then being told, oh no, we've got a more important meeting.
Well, and then Selectman Hull had attended, the Parks and Rec Commission had their meeting at the North Dighton Playground earlier in the week. Of that, when they had the meeting, it wasn't this week.
Right,
And he had asked the question if town meetings have to be held on town property. And they were like, no. I was just like, how does that work?
and where would you hold it? if it's not on town property.
So I know they have to be accessible. I mean, for like, open meeting law, they
Right.
have to be accessible.
Because a lot of times, sometimes they're held up at the high school.
I've had multiple in book group, I've had multiple members offer their homes,
Mhm.
especially, in the nice weather outside kind of thing. But I'm like, it's not, it's a wonderful gesture, but I'm like, we're a town organization. The town should be providing the space for you to participate, in my opinion.
Sure, I think
I
town
just.
programs and entities need an institutional home and not, that's not somebody's personal property.
So-
That's my feeling, that we ought to be able to handle that.
Before the building was closed in COVID, the book club met here.
We would meet right here, yeah.
So once again, I don't see why when that modular unit opens up, people could, even if they brought their own lounge chairs, like I always carry a chair in my car.
Well, the last meeting, I think the weather was just bad. I was like, we could bring a chair and meet in the parking lot. I mean, that's only gonna get us so far until we hit cooler weather. But they've already had bad weather for two of their this summer has been strange. They've both had like two of the really cold, wintry weather.
Yeah.
I don't mean wintry, of course, but they've
Cool
had
weather.
like cool, windy days. But, I was gonna have everyone bring a chair, come meet us outside, and
But again, maybe there's the possibility of using,
Yeah.
then you wouldn't have to worry about being kicked out of place. You wouldn't have to worry about the weather. And if it, depending on, I would think that 12 people should be able to fit in there.
I don't know how the layout's gonna
Right, but
end
once you
up.
find out the
Yeah.
layout, that,
So we'll see, but this is going on and it's kicking up. It's kicking up.
but we don't know if there's ever any meetings held at the police station, huh?
I don't know about public meetings, yeah.
Yet that was supposedly one of the,
The library did a program there,
We did,
with seeds or planting or something.
and I've had a lot of mixed thoughts about it.
Mhm.
I talked about that. I don't know.
well,
It's
children
a
go in
great-
there.
It's a great space. And I appreciate the police station offering it. I just don't know that all town residents would feel comfortable using the space or walking into a police station.
There's not a separate entrance, like an outside door.
I don't know if there is. I think they want to know who's coming in and out. And I don't even have I don't think all my staff are comfortable using that space. We're here to represent everybody and create a safe space for everybody. And even if we're associated with programming in that space, if that turns off people, that's a problem for.
What about the schools? If like when school was opened, could you use their library or their cafeteria, one of their, they have rooms and they don't have programs at
it
night.
would
There are night janitors there.
It would just depend on their COVID policies right now. Because we've done it in the past. So
They don't charge a fee.
it depends if they have to have, like on the weekends they would. if we have
Because they
have
have
to
bring in a
bring
janitor.
in a
I see.
janitor.
Right.
But I think it depends on how the pandemic goes,
Mhm.
if they want extra people and if they have to do extra cleaning.
Yeah,
That's, I
Yeah.
think, the
Sure.
wild card with the school.
The other thing with the schools is that there's a schedule done really early. I remember just for cheerleading, Girl Scouts, you have to request way in advance. So it's not something you could do like last minute. They usually are pretty busy, like booked with rooms at the school. From what I remember.
Gym in big rooms, not in like a classroom
Yeah.
or
library.
library.
So, I really, really feel like in-person programming for anything big is kind of still, until we know where our youth services are gonna be held, and we know that we can come back here, or, I think we're kind of limited in what we can offer for in-person. And I'm wondering if that'll be a black mark against us. Although I've been talking to a patron who has a link to a yoga class to do outside. So if we can offer those kinds of in-person programs for a while, maybe we can work something out that way. It's just been such a good time.
Yeah, it just seems like a lot of work. And does there exist? You said there's no policy, so there's no like handbook on using space. Here are the spaces in town. Here's their capacity. Here are the hours that they're available, and here's the process for booking them. And here's the priority list for use of the space.
I suggested it, and it was believed that it wouldn't work because commissions or committees would just bump people anyway because of their perceived need. And if you put a pecking order of, we're gonna be at the bottom because we're not doing the business of the town, even though that if you look at the things that we do, they don't value what we do in the same way they value some of the other things that are done. Even though people have been cooped up in their homes for a year and a half and might be looking for some of the things that we could be offering.
Yeah.
That's my humble opinion.
Oh, okay.
I can beat this. We can rant and rave about this all night. But that's going on.
Okay.
My crusade.
You said you had a letter?
Yeah, I do. I have it in the correspondence
Oh, okay,
section.
so it's
I have it.
Okay.
So I don't know if you want to hear it now or if you want to jump to that section or not.
I'm fine with moving it up on the agenda.
Right, because it's part of what we've been
It's relevant
discussing.
here, so let's move it up.
Okay. It's from Irene Alley. She lives at 1928 County Street. It's dated August 2nd, and it's to the town administrator and the Board of Selectmen. I am writing as a resident of the town of Dighton with concerns regarding the status of the Dighton Public Library. I am also concerned over the programs that have had a major change to the patrons and residents of this town with regard to services, book group, and a lack of meeting space that has impacted not only my needs, but those of various groups that use this service. The tipping point to my increased frustration was the availability given to book group for their meeting scheduled for July 29th. Then being told the room that was to be used was given to another meeting group. In doing some research on the day after our canceled meeting room availability, the other group did not use their room, and the library staff was never notified of that cancellation. The room was empty on that evening of July 29th, and our group had to Zoom our meeting at the last minute. This is not the first time our book group has been bumped. Another occurrence was in June from the pavilion to the Old Town Hall, and the only available space was the gazebo on the town grounds. Luckily for us, the weather was cooperative. Other meeting times have been outside in the pavilion that was available. What becomes of this group when the weather will no longer be cooperative and all available town spaces are taken or supposedly taken? Many townspeople may ask what the problem is using Zoom for meetings, but there are many library patrons who may not have access to electronic devices or difficulty getting on for a meeting. This is not meeting the needs of the diversity of many of the library patrons who live in this town. This issue, along with the long-standing issue of closure to the building secondary to the pandemic, has continued to be the cause of my concern with the lack of sufficient services to the residents of this town. Going back to the original intent of the library, Andrew Carnegie gave money to multiple cities and towns all over the United States due to his generosity to giving people the access to information, education, and a place to share ideas. This is not the case with the current status of the Dighton Public Library. The town officials in their foresight has closed the building due to the pandemic and has not allowed this town service to be reopened to services that were available pre-pandemic. Due to the age and concerns of the building, this has been the reason, but most residents are not aware unless they come to the library for minimal services. Very little has been publicized as to the fate of this essential service for the town, unless, like myself, are a user. The town officials continue to place departments of need on the warrant for voting, and the library, as well as their patrons, continue to fall down the list of importance. The library's staff in the past have worked to obtain grants to place in addition to the current building, and in the wisdom of the town, this much-needed service takes a back seat to other departments. This continued falling down the list has now led to the current situation of partial to almost closure of the library. Post-pandemic has hit this town and its services deeply, with other departments also not able to continue much-needed services to its residents, the taxpayers. I understand the regulations and mandates due to COVID with the effects that it places on the public, as I am a healthcare worker, RN, that even though retired, continue to work in 3 separate school districts. Understand how this has placed burdens to the public. The residents of Dighton, unless they actively use the library, are not aware that the closure or partial closure of this building by the building inspector and fire chief has placed restrictions, which is disheartening and frustrating. It seems that no information has been forthcoming to the current status of the library. It is very disheartening and frustrating to call ahead for materials, wait outside, and not have access to services as well as programs that the library did offer the town residents. What is the current status of the Dighton Public Library as to its future reopening? What will be the status from the state of Massachusetts in the library certification for services? Or will the town lose its certification that has been a long battle to obtain? The children of this community also deserve better than what is being given. The children's room is closed, as well as the adult services, and I feel that residents are being shortchanged. Summer program, adult book group, cookbook group, and adult programs were all a vital part of the service and now have been halted or stopped. The major concern of this letter is, what does the town selectman, building inspector, and fire chief, along with the town administrator, have as a solution to this problem? Are the taxpayers and residents aware that this vital service has been placed on hold with only a Band-Aid solution at this time? Will small groups such as book group continue to be bumped from meeting spaces that they are granted due to another town entity? This is a problem that will not go away with the closure of a door. I have grave concerns that continuation in this situation will lead to decertification from the state, closure of a building that gives much needed services, and taxpayers not being aware of the total picture. I am concerned that even in the age of electronics, the town in its wisdom is not meeting the needs of all the residents that continue to pay taxes for services they're not getting. Thank you for taking the time for my letter, and I would like a return response as to some solution to this issue.
I wonder if she'll get a response.
Sincerely, Irene Alley, and she CC'd me, but I thought you should hear it.
First of all, thank you, Ms. Alley, if you're listening, for taking the time to write that lengthy letter and, well, putting all that thought into it. We appreciate it, or I do as trustee to
Did you want to
Somewhat.
issue a response?
I think we should have
Yeah.
a response to her, yes. Not just acknowledging.
Because it's all concerns we have,
Yeah, I mean, if she's not here,
and it's like,
zoomed in, then
it's unfortunate that more people don't hear that letter.
Yeah.
I have a friend who I see in the grocery store on occasion, and she, said to me, is the library gonna open up again? And she said, I really hate, like calling for books, and one day she forgot, and then it was the holiday, and so people need to be made aware of.
Yeah. So we can respond to her. And she, incidentally, she was a former trustee in Berkeley long ago.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, she was a Brooklyn resident.
yeah. But she's here now, and
She was here one day when I came to pick up a book page. She was getting some books,
yeah,
because I know her.
yeah.
Okay, good.
So
All right, thank you.
I know that was a mouthful. Thank you for.
It was a very informative.
It was, yeah.
I mean, our whole conversation about
Yeah, and hers just sort of encapsulated it in that,
yeah,
that letter. So to acknowledge that we read it at the meeting. We read it at the meeting, so.
yeah. I'll let her know.
Now, it went to the selectmen. Will they read it at a meeting?
I believe they read all correspondence that they receive.
So they would have, did they meet?
They
last night?
just no.
No.
No, so it'd be-
I think next week, but I
it's not.
thought they did.
We'll find out next week.
Yeah, I guess we will.
Okay. Now, hotspot devices
Well,
update.
Just the pop-up library.
Oh,
We're a
I'm sorry.
month in. We're a month in. We've only had 2 weather cancellations.
Well,
That's
that's
pretty
good.
good.
Considering this summer.
It's
Right,
today.
right.
Yeah.
But it's been pretty well received. Lori's got her hands full. I mean, she's pretty busy, and we're happy with it. And we couldn't do it without her dedication to getting it going and getting it done.
Mhm.
We finally got our flag, our pop-up library, Dighton Pop-up Library
Oh,
flag,
good,
so people know what we are.
excellent.
And so we have another month to go, and
And
It's-
I'll interject that I went to the dog show with the flying dogs, and it was a good crowd there on a
Yeah.
very, very hot day.
We had 250 people at the
Wow.
Flying Dog. Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
It
Jen
was-
went, didn't ask her how it went.
it was a lot of fun,
Good.
actually. It was a lot of good. He was great. Will have him back,
Great.
especially at a time when more families who have to work during the day, because that was one of the criticisms we
Right,
did
and
get.
it was also very hot. The dogs weren't, you could tell they were
Yeah.
not,
Yeah,
Yeah, sure.
you know, it was a little warm for them, but
It
it
was
was
a dog
well
day.
done.
yeah, he had a lot of good interaction with the audience and the
And the kids.
dogs. And, yeah, it was very, very good. It was a good show. It was a highlight of the summer, I have to say that.
Great.
We needed that.
Yeah, 250 people is wonderful.
Yeah, it was really great.
Can we get pictures to post?
I have some. I
Uh-huh.
think Lori has some. Yeah. Now we're in hotspot.
Hotspot.
We have,
Hotspot devices update.
the hotspots have arrived. They're in a box. I haven't opened them.
Mm-hmm.
I still have to apply for the devices. I think I have until August 13th.
Okay,
So I'm going to try my hardest to get it done.
great.
That's all I have.
That's all you have for that? Okay.
Yeah.
Next is updates on grants.
The CARES Act grant, I've spent that money. That's all done. I was surprised at how far it went and how difficult it was to spend. Not difficult,
Uh-huh.
but I was just, okay. It
Now,
took a
does
lot
it-
longer than I thought it would.
So does a report, was this money that came directly to the library, or is this part of the town's allocation?
No, this was through the MBLC.
Oh, I see, great, okay.
Yeah.
So did we have to produce a report on that for MBLC
Yeah.
for their records?
Yeah,
And
I
so-
do. And that's due in the fall. I think
Okay.
that's due in October, but I'd like to get it
Mhm.
done sooner.
Sure, okay.
The LTC grant, I've taken
What is LTC?
the libraries transforming communities, the one
Okay.
for community engagement and conversations. So I finished my training. It was a self-paced online kind of how to have a conversation with people, like how to manage the conversation in a group, how to formulate not formulate, but how to take your topic and pose it in a way that is non-threatening to your community. So if you want to talk about something that could ignite passion, how you can frame it in a way that will get people talking without causing a lot of negative emotions or issues, how to manage possible temper, those kinds of things. So it was like a 6-lesson course. I finally finished it. So I need to get working on that. It'll happen. I'm working on it. So that's that. I feel
All right.
very slow. I feel like everything is very slow.
Yes, so,
And then it
so.
hits you.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
agenda's moving so slow that the new business is starting to feel like old business.
Exactly. No, that's exactly right,
But moving
Ron.
on to new business. Statistics.
I have the year-end ones. I just figure it's easy to do one set at a time before we move into July. So that's year end.
Okay,
I wanted to point out how much bigger from last year
mhm.
for the online resources, we were like 2,000 more on the online resources.
Jocelyn, I have them, because you sent the agenda, but I don't have the statistics, I don't think, unless you sent them.
I did it, but I can send them to you.
That's fine. Yeah, I don't want you to go through any trouble, but that's fine.
I can
Thank
send
you.
them.
I just wanted to let you know I don't have it in front of me, so I can't really comment.
You know what I could do is share the screen.
Yeah, that'd be easier for you. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, I just have to pull them up. Because that would be the smart thing to do.
Thank you. Sorry.
No, no, no. I'm glad you said something. Okay. Does anyone have any questions before I'm just. Can you see them, Eve?
Yes, I can.
Okay,
Thank
so
you.
these are the circulation numbers.
Yep, I can see it now. Thank you.
Let me know when you're ready to move to the next.
So could we, and I don't know if we need to, but I think it would just be interesting to library patrons in our newsletter somewhere just to do a report on what the library did this year.
Yeah, I
This
can
is
do
the
that.
fiscal year, not
Yeah.
the annual report type year. But I think patrons would be curious as to how we fared in terms of some of these statistics and programming, and because I think it's been a successful year. And I don't think we don't need to compare with other libraries because we have a very unique situation. But I think to come up with just a brief report, a page, maybe page and a half, you have a better sense of that, but that portrays the library as a thriving part of the community still in the face of the pandemic, and that staff were active and busy, and since last July till now, there's been a lot that's happened.
I can do that for the August newsletter. I have to do that. I probably should do that for tomorrow. So
Yeah, I don't think people aren't as fascinated by these statistics as we tend to these meetings, but just the overall the trend, and because I think what these data convey is we have a thriving library that certainly has some rough times a year ago. Challenging times, but has bounced back. That's the numbers here for people can people see them on Zoom or not? But it does show that in the past 3 months we are bouncing back.
Can you see the electronic numbers, Eve?
I can. I just have a quick question, Jocelyn. Maybe I'm crazy, but are we now in fiscal year 2022?
Yes, as of July 1st.
Okay, because this is saying fiscal year 21.
Right. When we met on July 1st, I didn't have the year-end numbers yet. It was still.
Oh, okay. I was saying, I had to make sure I had the right ones to look at. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
no. So I kind of thought we should just wrap this up, and then next
Perfect.
I'll have July and August.
Okay, because I was looking at July and August and going, okay, we have the whole year here, but we haven't had the whole year yet. Okay, no problem. Thank you.
I'll get us back on track. And
no, that's okay. No problem. I must have missed that part when I was.
Okay. Yeah, so we can do that. Just I think people will be interested in to sort of convey,
and this,
the library is thriving and is
this is the chart
on its way.
Okay.
So yeah, we had a much more steady year this year in orange here.
Yep.
Is much more steady and at least in line with our usual trend.
Mhm.
Yep.
Not, obviously not the same volume, but
But even with the pandemic though, I mean,
I don't think the volume is, reduced volume is I think an anticipated consequence of the pandemic and other factors, but
it's
No,
the
in
same,
fact, there's-
it's like the same,
Yeah.
trend, yeah.
it shows the same trend.
Yep.
So yeah, you're right. We are kind of on track. So that's reassuring.
Yeah.
Anything else about statistics?
Thank you, John.
No, not really.
Anything remarkable, I guess, so we have the total, we have a total also in online subscriptions use. And, but we don't have a comparison with prior years, but
No,
there's a
I
lot
wrote
of
it down
activity.
in pencil. Down
Oh,
at
yeah,
the bottom.
yeah. There's a lot of activity there.
Yeah.
Which is great because the online resources are important and valuable to people. It shows that what we're doing is useful.
Yep.
And we review this and make decisions. We, meaning the library director, makes decisions about which ones are worth continuing given its use. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, we've had a few changes with, there's been some new ownership changes with some of our older, like Acorn Media, from
Yeah.
past meetings,
Mhm.
is not available to us anymore. I've recently purchased a product with grant money called Video on Demand that has a lot of documentary streaming stuff, isn't that great? Streaming media, and it has a kids component, a lot of like Sesame Street kind of titles and educational, like Weston Woods titles to stream. And Sales is looking at Canopy, which is another streaming,
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
like it has more like film titles and things for a collaborative purchase. So I'm looking to get more of the streaming options available for people because that seems to be what people want in like general. I mean, I stream all the time. We have all the services, that that people seem to want. And so if we can offer some of those, I think that will go a long way. So we're looking at that. So you'll see some updates to that list of offerings.
Okay. All right, payroll.
I don't have payroll ready, but I'm looking for a volunteer to sign payroll for tomorrow.
I'm home, Jocelyn, if you want. I'm fine with it.
It doesn't matter who. Eve, I have things for you. If you
Okay,
pick things up, are you around or?
I can stop by.
All right,
What time are you gonna be there in the morning, Jocelyn? Just when time that the library opens? Do you want me to
I'll
come
be
then?
here around 9
Will it be ready? Or do you want me to wait a little bit?
to wait a little bit.
Okay, well, just text me when you're ready, because I'm just gonna be hanging around tomorrow.
Okay,
And if something comes up with their dog or something, let me know before 11 o'clock.
okay,
Yeah,
sounds good. It shouldn't be too long. I do have bills ready if anyone here wants to take a crack at them. You wanna split them up? You wanna?
You had your hand on it.
Well,
Just-
you wanna just kidding. My brother says, my brother the accountant, did you read everything before you signed it? Yeah, I signed it. I have, so.
In preparation for our big move, Town Administrator Mullen, he's away this week on vacation, but Mrs. Brady and the Selectman's office contacted me this week to see if the staff and trustees were available to meet with him. We have a date selected, and it was more picked for staff because they're all here at this time. It's August 19th at 1 o'clock
Here,
here. It would be here, so we wouldn't have to close the library.
Sounds good to me.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm gonna check my PD calendar, make sure I don't have any trainings that day, Joss.
I'll send you like a Google invite sort of thing for that day.
yeah, that doesn't ring a bell with dates, I know I have to do things, so I'll
Weekdays,
check when I get home, but.
weekdays are wide open now.
And they're all gonna see
At
the
least,
same.
at least until September when I go back.
Sometimes you can let me in through my computer, my phone's gonna die, so I'm trying to get onto my
Oh, I
computer.
see you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
And the next item, it's just this time of year, we have our sales network agreement that the chair signed.
Okay, do that.
They also, we have a PC of support agreement, but I think I can sign that.
So I signed the only place where there's a signature, right? Okay.
But maybe you should.
Hmm?
Maybe you should sign this PC support one.
And then somebody witnesses this or dates it or something. So I just sign above Carol's name, right?
Yeah.
Just make sure. Okay, here you go.
Mm,
There's that one.
Thank you.
And what's this one?
That's PC support. I can send that back. They sent our value of service. So basically it's,
Oops. Library copy. Do I need to send the library copy?
I guess it's probably good form if we did, right?
Okay.
I'll stick it in the file. So they send us a value of service based on what we pay for our assessment. I don't think any of you question the value that we get from sales, but for the amount of money that we invest in sales, we get back $188,000, $594 in service. And that's split out over our network line. When we need help, we contact support. Our annual cost for the database, our cataloging services, which help us run things. The titles that we borrow from our network partners, ebooks borrowed in our collective overdrive, online resources we share. We have joint purchasing with Tumble Books. We get a discount with. We share novelists. We have joint purchasing with that. We're also able to get some grants that defray the cost of our assessment. We are eligible, because of our size, we're eligible for the small libraries and network grants, which reduce our assessment. We get a resource sharing grant. for sales libraries because sales handles overdrive. They took on when the state first did ebook lending, sales took on some of the titles and the work and support of that. So we get a small grant. So we get a lot of benefit for what we put in. So I don't think I've ever really talked about it before, but just to let everybody know.
With billing for the book.
Right. That's all. I'm just figuring.
Okay, sounds good.
I haven't finished Eris.
All right. Is there something I have to sign there?
I will let you know.
Okay.
It's a bit different this year because of programming and how they're calculated.
Okay. Yeah, just let me know. Sign it.
Thank you.
Staff Development Day.
I'd like to have, with your permission, a day where I guess it depends on how things go up over at the modular unit, but a day where maybe we're not open. It's probably a Thursday, just for like some kind of staff development where the staff can just kind of take a breath.
Mhm.
And
I think that's good to do in September.
or it might run into October, sometime in the fall, but if that's okay with you,
Sure.
that
That's fine with me. Eve? Just make sure. I don't know, we need to
Yes, absolutely. It's fine with me.
read it.
Yes.
Okay, then.
all right, I appreciate that. I just feel like it's been a lot. July 10th Firecracker Festival. It was a good day. I don't know if any of you went.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, there were a lot of people. It was a bigger event that I was surprised at. People did make it there. But it was a successful event, and the Friends did really well. Lori was there passing out the summer reading books that the Friends purchased, and it was a really good outreach event for the library and the
Good,
Friends.
good.
Yeah, I think it was really good.
A lot of concurrent activity,
Yeah,
which, presented some unique challenges.
yeah,
But,
no, it was, I thought it was good.
But I think, yes, my congratulations to Kevin.
Yeah,
Kevin
he did a
and
great
his
job.
team. It was just really nice. It's hard to pull those things together. Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So I think it was very
Very
positive.
well done. Very well
No,
done.
I agree.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and there was some lessons learned for the next time, and
no, and he's been a very good partner to the library with Parks and Rec, and so it's been nice to.
good.
The Friends are meeting on Thursday, August 19th at the police station at 6:30.
Back to, well, this is kind of related to Firecracker Festival, but also to meeting. I'm really impressed with the work that's being done by the Trails Committee. That's another name for,
Yeah,
I'm familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a nice conversation with them at the Firecracker Festival, and they probably can have their own meeting in which they talk about this, but I just don't know if that's something the library would want to coordinate with them and just, co-host.
I
they're
think
doing some
they used to
interesting
meet
work.
here.
Yeah. They're doing some interesting work. They've got some some really committed people.
Right.
There was an article, I think, in the Taunton paper, I saw something on
Yeah,
about expanding the trail to Somerset and Taunton.
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. It's not. It was fascinating to me. I think it was just like easy. You just like keep the path, but
Yeah.
one point at which they actually have to come out onto Somerset Ave and walk for a distance, they go for a distance and then go back towards the trail. And it's in land rights and everything else. It's not as straightforward as one would think, but yeah, it was just a thought that,
Yeah.
or even, I don't
That's a good idea.
know if I plan to become more familiar with the work that they're doing, whether they sponsor like trail hikes and things of that sort.
That's a good idea.
That's
A
one
few
way.
of the members on that committee are library users.
Yeah.
So we could, especially for next year, when the weather's good again. Well, I feel like it's probably late now to plan anything.
Yeah, they may very well be doing their own thing, and I don't mean to intrude on
No,
what their
no,
plans
no.
are, but just if we can offer to them
It's a nice partnership, I
that we're
think.
willing to partner with them in some
Yeah.
way.
No, I
I'd like to do
agree.
that. All right, and so did I interrupt the Friends meeting discussion, or is that?
No, it's just mentioned that they are meeting. There's talk of them also writing a letter to the selectmen about library advocacy and what's happening here. They'll talk about it, I think, at that meeting probably. Or try to coordinate with you, this board on messaging on that, and so.
The last thing on the agenda?
There's a
Always
couple,
two more.
yeah. There's
There's
some
sneaks onto the back page.
surprise, yeah. The zookeeper programs have been a lot of fun. They are CARES grant funded. We've been having, we didn't have one this week, but with Buttonwood Park Zoo, we have a Zoom program with a zookeeper from Buttonwood Park Zoo, and they show us an animal. And they basically just bring them into their habitat at the zoo. And it's been such a treat. So we've had the tortoise, we've had Emily the elephant, which is, I grew up with Emily the elephant. And last week we had the red panda. So next week we'll have the fennec fox and then the sloth. Yes. So if you want to come, just register and we'll send you the link. It's just been wonderful.
Sure.
It's been wonderful. I can't emphasize it enough. And
How's the participation been?
It's been so. I think we'll see more with the sloth.
Yeah.
Because, sloths are
Awesome.
wonderful, but.
And then the end thing, one of the end things.
But, that's been, we'll take what we can get. It's hard because I think it depends on the type of day we have. I think, like a Zoom program, people will sign up and then maybe not come or whatever, but they've been wonderful. They've really been, I can't say enough great things about it.
Let's now turn the page. And so I was on my phone because turning the page reminded me fondly of a book I used to read to Caitlin when she was young. And all I could remember was Sesame Street. And turning the page was a key thing, and it's the monster at the end of the book.
Oh yeah, I remember. That's a great book.
So excited.
I love that book.
Turn the page. Go look that book up.
I bet we have it downstairs if you want me to get it.
Read it to Caitlin's tonight.
Take it out. I have a surprise. Guess
I'm
what?
gonna read the monster at the end of the book tonight. Dad, I think the retirement thing's getting to your head.
Too much time on your hands, Dad.
Sorry.
So that's last minute. I was able to book that program. That was actually the group that we had in person at the police station who did the gardening program. And I remembered one of the participants had asked about wanting to, and I don't remember who she was or how to get in touch with her, but she had asked about a canning program, putting together canning. So they do canning and dehydrating and freezing program, and they'll do it on Zoom. So they're meeting next week, and that is partially paid from the CARES grant. And they were really good when we met. I thought they were very knowledgeable, and at this point of the summer, you'll soon be getting a lot of tomatoes, and hopefully if the weather warms up, and you'll need to do something with
Yeah.
them.
I
So,
just did some peaches because I got some peaches in that truck that came up from Georgia.
oh,
And my brother said, freeze them for pies. Okay, I've never done that, so.
yeah,
And I went online and it was simple. And I mean, got enough for 3 pies.
yeah. I don't know the first thing about doing it safely, so.
We used to do a lot of canning when my mother was alive, so had a general idea. It kind of comes back to you.
But I know a lot of people
Oh, yeah.
here, it feels like this is something that people would be interested in.
Especially if they've got gardens and
Yeah,
Sure.
freezers and.
Yeah. Okay, anything
I'll
else?
tell you quickly about peaches. You gotta put them in boiling water, put them in cold water, peel them,
that's like
Slice-
tomatoes.
slice
Yeah.
them, and then you put them on parchment paper and a cookie sheet, and you put it in the freezer for either a couple of hours or overnight. I did overnight. And then you put them in the plastic bags, because if you put them in the plastic bags while they're mushy, they're gonna get all,
Oh,
Brown.
well, they're gonna get all scrunched up.
sure.
This way they keep their
Uh-huh.
shape.
Oh, yeah,
Ah.
makes sense. Great.
Yeah,
So
Then
that
what
was
do you
something.
do, what do you do with them when you thaw them? You just eat them, or do you?
Well, they're gonna go in a pie, so yeah,
Oh,
you
to
kind
pie,
of just
right, you
put
say
it,
that, I'm sorry,
But
yeah.
you probably could just thaw them out,
Yeah, put them in yogurt, you
Yeah.
can do anything you want with
cut
them.
them up with
But you
other
don't put
fruit.
you don't put any
Yeah.
sugar in them or anything like that?
No. It was
Mm,
sweet enough.
I love peaches. But anyway,
Yeah, you gotta get ripe peaches.
I feel like I always talk too much for you guys.
Oh, so,
Not at
we
all.
have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Rita makes
Seconded, Eve Cabral.
a second. All in favor? Ron O'Connor, aye.
Rita Russo, aye.
Eve Cabral, aye.
Thank you,
Good
everybody.
night, everybody.
Thank you for having me on Zoom. I appreciate it.
Dog's okay? Your dog's
I hope your
okay?
dog's all right.
Yeah, she's on antibiotics, anti-inflammatory. She's just not moving